Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and this is a video that's kind of a response to Scott Mendelson's Forbes article titled "Why Sony Announcing a Venom Film Hurts Spider-Man: Homecoming." Now, his general hypothesis in this particular article is more of like a what if versus a reality, right? And he even says at the end, "Oh, I might be eating crow on this one in 2018." So it's like, why are you saying why something is going to hurt if it's speculation? I would say why it could hurt, but then again, the why is more of a clickbait thing. However, that being said, the meat of the article, the meat of Scott's argument boils down to the fact that Sony essentially is pulling the cart before the horse by announcing a Venom standalone movie for October 2018. This, of course, coming out prior to Spider-Man Homecoming in July. It's so close. It's 4 months. It's so close. It's 4 months from today. It's 4 months from today. That's amazing. I'm so happy. But the point is that it's coming, right? And Sony, you can tell, are gearing up to very much profit off of this franchise, off of this relationship with Marvel. Now, we don't know the extent of this particular deal yet. We don't know if this film is going to be tied in to the MCU, as I mentioned in my video yesterday on the subject matter. But for all intents and purposes, we can pretty much agree and pretty much believe that that is what's going to happen. Now, the deal that Sony and Marvel have is for the use of Spider-Man in the MCU when allowed, essentially, in like basically Civil War, as well as bringing over characters from the MCU into Spider-Man's world, and not vice versa. So you won't see like Kraven the Hunter appear in, like a fucking Iron Man movie or something like that. Like, that won't happen. But Iron Man appearing in Spider-Man Homecoming is totally fine based on the deal that they've worked out. Now, that deal is going to most likely expand once the movie comes out. Once Spider-Man Homecoming comes out and dominates in the box office, which I believe that it will, the deal will be renegotiated, probably for full-fledged integration between two studios. All right, this, if anything, is going to be just simply an experiment to see if it works. And based on the success of the fucking airport scene in Civil War, yes, it's going to work. And that deal will be renegotiated, and we're going to see things change, which is probably why they're gearing up to probably get a couple versions of a script going where their Venom is going to be working in the MCU and Venom's going to be working outside the MCU. Now, part of Scott's article touches on the fact that he says audiences said no thank you to the concept of an expanded Spider-Man cinematic universe with Amazing Spider-Man 2. To that, I have to very, very, very humbly disagree, because the movie went on to gross over 700 million. It was like nearly $750 million. It didn't get there, which is what Sony wanted. And the reason why they didn't choose to go forward with a third Amazing Spider-Man movie most likely was due to budget concerns, and the fact that Sony itself has had multiple big budget failures over the course of the past couple years. But there's also that in the fact that I believe Guardians of the Galaxy came out a month after freaking Amazing Spider-Man 2 and grossed, I think, just a little less money, but was better received overall. And that kind of gave them cold feet. If you want my honest opinion, Guardians of the Galaxy gave them cold feet, which is one of the reasons why Sinister Six fell through and everything else happened with that. But now we're looking at this project, this property of Venom, right? And we know that Sony is not going to want to fuck up. They don't have the resources to fuck this thing up. Now, we know that when it comes to Spider-Man, Marvel is handling it. Sony is getting all the money because Marvel knows that they're going to be able to profit off of this directly. And they also, Marvel, by the way, has all the merchandising rights to Spider-Man. Sony sold that back to Marvel a couple years ago when they were in dire straits. So Marvel's going to profit off of it. So Marvel's going to be fine. Like I said, the deal is going to expand once the movie comes out and people realize how much of a fucking moneymaker this shit is. So that's the interesting side of things here, is that what we're going to see, essentially, is we're going to see a lot of things happen with the MCU. We're going to see a lot of things happen with Spider-Man. And I don't think that Venom is going to hurt it, because there's literally, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, there's literally no fucking way that Venom will hurt Spider-Man. There's none. Because in the article, he compares it to Catwoman. Like, oh, there was a Catwoman movie in 2004. That movie was god awful. But that also came out a year before Batman Begins, before they rebooted Batman, and it came out before 2 years before Superman Returns, and it came out, what was it, 1997 or 1999, I think, for Batman and Robin. Like, there was a number of years between Batman and Robin and Catwoman. It wasn't close together. They were trying something new. They wanted to give Halle Berry the chance, and Halle Berry wanted a superhero franchise of her own after the success of the first two X-Men movies. So that is a lot of what happened there. So I think to kind of bring that up as a comparison is false, just due to the timing of the events going on. Additionally, he does make a comment in here about how Marvel didn't announce the bigger version of the MCU until after Iron Man came out. That's not entirely true. They were pitching Ant-Man and other other kind of Avengers as far back as 2006, if not before. We knew that they were planning on doing Iron Man and Incredible Hulk in 2008. We knew that they were trying to do a series of films, so Scott is definitely wrong on that. Now, the larger phases weren't announced until after Iron Man came out and did gangbusters back in 2008, but no, the plan for the MCU was very well established before the release of Iron Man. They were just waiting for Iron Man to do well to see how well it did in order to kind of greenlight the rest of them, because Marvel ponied up $200 million to work between Universal and Paramount to make those two films. So there's that. Again, the Scott, I don't know if Scott necessarily knows everything that he's talking about here, because I get what he's trying to say. You know, Sony pulling the cart before the horse. He does talk a bit here about, like, we used to go see movies, then they would do well, then a sequel would be announced. Best thing for that recently would be like John Wick Chapter 2. First movie came out October 2014, did not very well, but found a home on DVD. Did very well on DVD. So then they did John Wick Chapter 2, which doubled the total run for John Wick in theaters in its opening weekend, and it's an amazing fucking movie. Oh my God, I loved it. And so John Wick Chapter 3 will be coming, but that's one that wasn't setting up to be a franchise. It just kind of naturally grew into that. Whereas something like King Arthur, the new King Arthur movie, was originally set as a six film franchise, and now they're waiting to see how that does. And the thing is, though, pitching the concept of a franchise before the first movie comes out shows faith in the project. It shows faith in your decisions to make it. And I see Scott's point about, you don't want to promise more than you can deliver. You don't want to, put all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew. Any other fucking, saying you want to use does apply to this. But when it comes to Spider-Man, when it comes to the MCU, when it comes to all of these things, there is very little risk if the movie is good. If the movie is not very good, then there's a problem. But we don't know to what extent this is going to go. Now, my theory is this. We're not going to hear much more about this movie until Comic-Con in July, right? The week after Spider-Man opens is Comic-Con. So I'm pretty sure Sony's going to be there with Marvel. They're going to talk about it. They're going to probably announce after because again, it's the next fucking weekend, right? And so they're going to look at the tracking for Spider-Man. They're going to look to see how much money it's going to make. I'm going to say right now, Spider-Man Homecoming opening weekend, I'm calling it now, 165 is what I'm thinking. 150 to 165 is what I'm predicting. And I could be wrong. So we'll have to wait to see what happens with all this stuff, but I have high hopes for it. And I'm waiting to see what Alex Kurtzman does, whether or not he's a producer or he is the director. We don't have knowledge of that just yet. Scott does say that Kurtzman is not directing. That information is unverified. So we're going to have to wait to find out. But to say that Sony doesn't know what it's doing, I think is patently false. I think they are going to partner with Marvel in a way that have Marvel handle all the production side of things going forward on all of Spider-Man's properties, because they know that it's a guaranteed moneymaker. And if they decide that they want to branch off and maybe do their own kind of Catwoman-esque thing, it's only going to happen once if it fails. And the rest of the time, it will be relegated to Feige & Co., which is what it should be anyway, because we know that Marvel brings it every time. So we'll have to wait and see. But those are my thoughts on this one. I just wanted to put it out there because I feel like it's an interesting topic to cover. There's a lot there. There is well over a decade of knowledge to pull from in terms of the MCU and Spider-Man's previous outings and Sony and everything else in the meantime. But I do want to know your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think that Venom is going to hurt Spider-Man, or is Spider-Man going to be fine and Venom can really only hurt itself? So go ahead and let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Anyway, my name is Matt Jarbo. This has been $3 Theater. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.